What's happening, people? Jason here, and you probably already know what you're getting yourself into by the title of this video, but basically I'm just editing 3 more photos from the Florida trip, which I went on last summer. Crazy to think it's already been several months since that trip, and we're almost at the end of this fall 2022 semester. But regardless, I procrastinated long enough to have some photos left over from the summer trip today. They kind of ended up being the more difficult ones, flash photos, night photos, so you'll kind of see my technique on those kinds of pictures. But regardless, hopefully get some inspiration or just motivation to get out there and do something cool with your camera, and let's get into things. Alright, so right off the bat, this is probably the most difficult photo of the batch. You can see we got some promising elements like the bokeh in the background looking cool, and then I don't know, just the framing, the composition overall looks like it has potential, but also it's got this blue tint across the photo. It was taken in obviously not ideal lighting conditions, and we're probably going to pull a lot of noise out of this boy when we get to brightening things up and fixing things overall. Alright, delving into the light category, we're going to pull that exposure up quite a bit just so we can see what we're doing in this edit. Not necessarily going to leave it like that. And then contrast is going to come down. I usually do 20. This is kind of like my default for just, again, seeing what we're doing in the edit. Highlight's going to come down. Shadows will come up just a tad. There's really not much in the shadows because I think I was shooting with a Pro Mist filter, and you can see like the haze is spilling over the darks, the shadows in this picture already. Color. Let's bring those blues out of the picture by pushing that color temperature towards warm. I think that looks good as far as color temperature goes, getting rid of that unnatural blue tint over everything and making things look a little more warm and pleasant here. Probably push this tint just a tad, something like that on the tint, and then we're gonna pull the colors way out with quite a bit of vibrance, followed by some desaturation. Colors, let's get into things. I see some reds in the background already, which I'm definitely gonna push towards pink quite heavily, and then desaturate, bring that luminance up just a tad. Might tweak that, but that looks good so far. Now this is probably, all those lights in the background in the orange tab, and then a little bit in yellow. Yeah. So let's kind of push them both at the same time. Let's start like, I'd say 15 for both. Desaturate just a touch on each. Something like that. And then greens, that's going to be just the grass probably. I think because this was a cool picture to begin with, I'm going to push them towards evergreen, but then also heavily desaturate. And then we're going to pick up everything with this category, right? Well, not teals, I guess. It's all in the blues. Yeah, so teal kind of allows us to isolate that sky a little bit, and then I'm going to use that to push things even more teal. I think that's good for teals, and then blue, we got to be careful about what we're doing. I think I'm going to start out by desaturating. Yeah, so I'd say like 25 is our limit with this. More realistically, like 20, where things start to look unnatural if you go past that towards the teals. Which should be good for the color mix. To be honest, this isn't as amazing as I thought it would turn out. I don't know. Things are looking better than the original though. Alright, I just dropped the exposure back down. We had it real high in the beginning so we could see what we're doing. And then now that we're closing in on a final vision, or at least I am, we can put it where we actually want it. And I'm actually gonna go back to the color mixer and take these pinks, and just for the light color palette of this picture, I think teal with the warm lights in the background looks better. That's what I want the reds to look like. I'm kind of like debating bringing back the saturation from the warm lights. Yeah, I think I'll do that. That looks real nice. And jump into effects. My favorite part of the edit always is getting the colors looking good and the light and everything, and then coming in with that clarity slider and just making everything pop, look all moody. I think I will bring some texture in, but mostly we'll rely on that clarity for the pop of this picture. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get the sharpening out the way, because you know, it's painful, but you gotta sharpen. And then when it's a dark photo like this and you know the noise is gonna come out, you gotta be prepared to throw on that noise reduction. Gotta get that curve on here. Can't forget the old crush the blacks in the bottom and a little white crush at the top. I don't even want to touch the curve. The curve looks good. And do we need a crop? I just want to keep like the entire shoulders in here, not cut off part of the arm or anything. So We'll just crop it there and accept that the head is a little off center, but I think good looking picture. What can I say? All right, get into the next picture. We got yet another night photo. This one's a flash one on the roof of the place we stayed at in Florida. This is one of those situations where, like, stylistically, if you wanted to bring that black crush up real high and then add like green to the shadows, using color grading, you could make this look like a film photo or something resembling a film photo. Add more grain, obviously, to do that. But I'm just gonna make this look like a good G7, digital picture taken on the Lumix G7 instead of trying to make it look like something it's not. All right, jumping into things, following the same general procedure as last time. I'm gonna pull that exposure past where you're comfortable with, drop that contrast to the trusty 20, then bring highlights down to actually make things look somewhat reasonable again. And then shadows, 20 is a good spot for us. Let's get into color. I'm thinking like 52, 50. Yeah, that'll do. Bring out those colors. Alrighty, color mix. See, pinks always get real intense when you push towards them, but what you can do is just undo that with saturation. Yeah, I think that's good. Something like 15, 13, something like that. Everything is orange. I'm actually gonna do yellow first. Yeah, I'm gonna push everything towards like more ruddy tones. Oh, that's kind of cool because it brings out those lights. Let's do that just a touch. And back to the oranges. Let's see what I want to do with these. Yeah, I'm not gonna touch the orange, to be honest with you. Greens, might get a tiny little bit in those. Nah, we're not gonna get anything. Teals. Blue. Desaturate, and that's it. Colors look good. Let's jump out of that into effects. I'm gonna bring in some texture. And then for the clarity, I can tell we're gonna have a little bit of a, yeah, so if you go like real intense with the clarity in a picture like this, where there's a big brightness difference between the foreground and the background, you kind of get like, especially when there's a difference in focus, artifacting or weird like halo almost around the subject. To avoid this, I'm just gonna stick to a low number when it comes to this effect, and then just jump right into detail. Things, look clear and moody as they are right now. So I'm not too upset at what we got going on right now. Come on, please load for me. Please load. Good old reliable 60. Maybe I'll tap each of those sliders one more time. I think we'll just jump into the curve and that'll probably be it. I remember for the last 3 photos from the Florida trip I edited, I did the cropped first for those ones and then like the light and colors and everything. For whatever reason, I'm just jumping right into things with these and then doing the crop afterwards. So sometimes the techniques change and you just switch parts of your process around. Something like that. We're a little intense in the highlight category. I think I'm gonna, pull it down even more and maybe drop the exposure of the entire image. Couple slots, ticks, marks. Yeah, I think that was good. And as for the crop, make it a rule of thirds like we're back in high school in our photography 101 class. In like the final version of this photo you see in the video, you'll probably see that I took this little ledge out because it's distracting. Besides the ledge, really like this picture, like the lights, the ambiance of the lights in the background, whatever the V ride we got going on here is called, that looks cool in the background. And shoot, nice nighttime flash photo. Yeah, so this is our last and final picture. It's a cool one. It's got some streaks in the bokeh in the background, and yet it's a, clear picture. Obviously not something I was going out to shoot, but something I just happened to snap and caught and goes with the theme of like flash and nighttime pictures in this video. Let's go ahead and get into this by bumping that exposure. I'll drop those highlights. Drop the old contrast, pull the shadows out. Good amount. All right, so with color temperature, I'm gonna push things cool, most likely. Yeah, we'll push it to something like that. Bump that tint just a tad. Bring out those colors. And blue is intense in this picture. Then we'll drop that saturation to de-intensify that blue. All right, colors. There's a lot of, not a lot, but a decent amount of red in people's faces, like rosy tones, so not gonna do anything with that. Orange, likewise, skin tone. Yeah, yellows I'm gonna push quite a bit towards orange. warmer tones, desaturate a touch, and then bring up in brightness, around 15. Green, that's gonna be the grass. We'll push what little grass you can see towards evergreen. Desaturate a lot. Teals. Blue, or should I say teals, because we're gonna push it towards teal. Yeah, I'd say like, again, 25 is our limit. 29 looks unnatural. 24, we could put it there if we wanted to, but I'm actually gonna go 20. Desaturate that just a touch. I think I'll give it quite a bit of brightness. Clarity is obviously important, and you know, now that I look at this, I'm thinking I kind of cooled it off too much. So I guess I'll just put it back to where it was originally. A lot of texture going on in hair here. I might not need to add any, but I will. We'll stick with 10. I think we've been doing 10 thus far. Detail. I put in a good amount of sharpening here with some noise reductions to compensate. And then we're gonna go back to light. Give us that curve. I'm aware that things kind of look a little weird right now. I'm not liking how cool this picture looks. I feel like we started, I don't know, much warmer looking, so I'm gonna see if I can rectify that. But before I do that, let's put in that never failed me before black crush curve. Yeah, I think what happened is the vibrance brought out the colors in the background. Vibrance like preserves skin tones, generally speaking, that's kind of the point of it. And then saturation took them away when we compensated, because saturation is like the colors of everything. So if we just put saturation back where it was, maybe don't bring vibrance up as much as we did, we'll be back in business, looking almost perfect actually. I think that's a great picture. I think that's as good as like a quick snap impromptu, catch people doing what they're actually doing in the moment kind of picture could be. Couldn't ask for much more from this edit. Alright, and I am running dangerously low on camera record time, so I'm just gonna say thanks for watching. Hopefully absorb some tips from this editing process, and generally speaking, like how these pictures turned out. I personally think they look great and that I was able to bring what the raw versions needed into the final photo. But with that being said, thanks for being here today, and I'll catch you in the next one.